she's the kind of person who, I mean, you can tell she comes from activism, right? She knows how to get people ready to fucking move, ready to make changes, ready to demand shit. And this is one of the things that I love about Cori Bush. And it's one of the reasons that I've primarily resisted it's impossible to push Joe Biden to the left kind of narratives, because I think that's kind of like, what the fuck have we tried yet? You know what I mean? How many bodies have we put in the streets of Washington demanding Joe Biden do something? You know, I'm not saying that it would be easy, but I'm saying that that's the only option that we have left. Like, electoral politics, you know, to the extent that it can be participated in, should be participated in by people like Cori Bush, right? But I think it's going to revolve around a lot of activist energy to kind of make those changes happen externally. And I think that having a politician like her can kind of drum some of that.
I mean, I agree. I agree that she's definitely doing what she needs to do, saying what she needs to say. At the same time, you know, Biden was confronted with the largest civil rights movement since the 1960s, and he picked the largest, you know, prosecutor of the largest state in the country as his response to it, to spit in the face of BLM. So I don't necessarily agree that Joe Biden could be pushed to the left, even with a, you know, civil rights movement. So
then do we give up? Do we stop trying? So what do we do then, right? If he can't be pushed to the left, what do we do for the next 4 years? Do we sit on our hands? Like, that's my response to that. Like, what do we do if he can't be pushed to the left?
I mean, I'm not saying he can't. I'm just saying I don't think it's like that simple as just getting 1,000 bodies in Washington, D.C. either, because, as I just said, he spit in the eye of the BLM movement. He loves to spit in the eye of the activist movement. That's like his thing. It makes him. It's like a signal to his fellow moderate Republicans. That's why he's filling his cabinet with like war hawks and corporate, like, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but I'm saying that that's probably our only option left.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm in favor of you know, intense demonstrations every time this fucker does anything that I disapprove of. Obviously, COVID makes that a lot harder, which is unfortunate. But yeah, when it comes to, you know, Congress people and senators, this is the kind of shit I want them to be doing. You know, like, if you're gonna be elected to Congress, then I don't want to see you, you know, buddy with your fucking other colleagues and shit, and whining and dining in the fucking wine caves. Like, you know, you need to be out there, like, in front of the DNC, calling out these fuckers until they actually do what they need to do, and, you know, cut some stimulus checks, pass a Green New Deal. The stuff that, as Cori Bush said, if it's not going to get done, it's going to keep, you know, mostly affecting people that look like me and communities like mine. So I just love the fact that this is her basically her introduction to Congress. And like she said, she's not afraid to get in a little bit of good trouble. Hopefully, you know, that spirit continues, and she continues to just put that pressure on. But yeah, when it comes to, like, actually, as far as, you know, how we're going to get stuff done, I think that that is a decent segue into what the Sunrise Movement has been doing, which is they actually went basically right outside Biden's office. Here, I'll pull that up. And they went outside of his office in Philadelphia. And here, I'll share my screen so you guys can see what the Sunrise in Philly was doing, because this is something that I definitely approve of and think we need to see more of. You know, it's one thing to march down the street in the middle of your city, but I mean, there's only so much that's actually going to do. If you're actually outside their house, you know, if you're outside Joe Biden's house or campaign office or whatever, or fill in the blank with whatever your representative or senator that you're trying to pressure is, I think they're a lot more likely to take notice. And I think that it's one of the aspects.
A more bird dogging approach.
Yeah. By the way, we are having the Sunrise from Philly on the podcast soon to talk about this. So just an announcement.
Biden, these are letters from people, the young people that got you in office. We need you to be brave right now for our futures, for our generation, because we're counting on you.
And obviously that was like a stage thing for the camera or whatever, so that it might have looked a little bit more like lame than it actually was. But they were actually receiving a lot of shit for this, and people were like calling them like terrorists and stuff for like showing up out front of his campaign office and like refusing to leave and like making noise and stuff. So it was a little bit more like disruptive than that little clip made it seem like. Like it says, they're outside of Joe Biden's campaign office in Philadelphia there, demanding that he fulfill
that young girl wreaking terror across. And not to mention, the thing is that they'll call them terrorists, but climate activists are constantly subject to like terror laws, which are infinitely more draconian after the 9/11, crackdown, we'll call it, right? So these are, decades-long sentences that people are facing at times for like what's called like eco-terrorism, essentially, if they, stage a actual protest on a site of maybe like a I don't know, like a fracking site, or even at they do it all the time at big agriculture or factory farms of animals.
Yeah, no, that's definitely it's literally categorized as terrorism, awfully like what Greenpeace, for example, engages in that kind of activism. So yeah, it's pretty disgusting. And yeah, here's an article about this where basically they're pissed off because as it says, climate activists have set a high bar for Joe Biden. They asked the new administration to not hire anyone with oil and gas, or anyone with ties to the oil and gas industry. However, Biden has named Representative Cedric Richmond of Louisiana, who has received, actually, I read in a different article, more fossil fuel. He's the biggest recipient of fossil fuel money in the entire House of Representatives. He takes more fossil fuel money than anyone. And he's going to be a senior advisor, a prominent position in the new administration. And right off the bat, so Biden's basically betraying these whatever promises he made to the Sunrise Movement, which, it's like, what, I don't know if you guys were actually, it's similar with like the task force thing. It's like, did you guys actually expect him to keep his word? Like, was that obviously not just a show to get you to vote for him in the first, I don't know. In my opinion, that was all just kind of theater in the first place. So I guess I wasn't as surprised as some of these activists are, but I mean, props to them for doing this, hard work and actually showing up to push him left.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of running into this wall where I'm, and I got probably a lot of people have hit this wall. Probably smarter people than me have maybe cracked it. But it's one of those things where it's like, what do we fucking do now, right? Like, if he can't, like, how do we accomplish these goals? What needs to be done, right? So, I think mass civil disobedience is definitely part of the equation. But it's one of those things where it's all well and good to say that, but how does that take root? We had such an organic outpouring, like you said, for George Floyd, millions of Americans taking to the streets demanding change and getting none of it. And then it's like, oh, our government is so ineffective that they can't do anything for us. This is discouraging. And then we all go away again until it boils over, once more. So I don't know. I'm really getting hung up on this thing where it's like, what the fuck do we do now? Where, is it worthless to put bodies in the street? I'm not convinced that we've exhausted that effort.
I think that what you might be searching for, and this of course hasn't proven to be something that actually materializes whenever it is suggested, but a general strike. I mean, I think that's what we're looking at, is the only thing that could potentially move this corporate oligarchic, establishment to actually, implement something.
Bring the money to a stop, basically.
Yeah. Because like I said, unless it's just people beating down his door, 100,000 Americans, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how anything would really get the job done.